Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world to us if you could just scroll down, like, hit the subscribe button for the Snaps YouTube channel. It goes a long way towards helping us out. Now, let's dive into some college football. A 16-team playoff. As last Wednesday, all the conferences are meeting to try to figure out what we're just alluding to. What do you do after the next two seasons? The 12-team playoff is only codified. It's only put together for 2 years. Beyond that, we don't know what's going to happen. And some of the ideas reportedly proposed last Wednesday were a 16-team playoff in which there would be no buys, a 14-team playoffs in which there would be two buys. And here's my deal. Can we just calm the fuck down? Why the fuck are we already? I mean, I guess I understand why. Because more teams in makes more people happy because their school now has a chance of making it. But for me, as a consumer, I love it at 12. Just keep it at 12 and let's see how it goes, at least for an extended amount of time.
I agree.
Like, that's a great number. It gives us extra football without going full NBA. That's one of the things that I like the NBA a lot. That's one of the things that, and I actually think the play-in, even though it added teams, added to the playoffs, because now there's this great tension between like being the 6 seed versus the 7 seed and having a guaranteed playoff spot versus having to fight through it in sketchy single game situations. But I don't like how, if you're in the NBA, how many NBA teams are there? 30, right? Or 28? I'm blanking right now off the top of my head. There's 30 teams.
Ask me the last time I watched an NBA.
But here's the point. If you include the play-ins, 66% of the teams make the playoffs. You're talking 20 of the 30 teams at least have a shot to win an NBA finals. In the NFL, it is now up to 14 of the 32. So a slightly better number there. I still think to retain some good college football regular season magic, 12 is a nice number. I also feel the more buys you get rid of, the more you really make conference championships not matter at all. Because that is kind of the one thing they're holding on to right now, is if you win your conference, you get a bye, and that can be some justification for keeping that game around.
Well, and that, to me, that's what you have to do. I mean, if you do want to go to a model that is 16 or more without buys, you have to get rid of conference championship weekend, because who cares about playing in those? There's no incentive. I guess the incentive is to maybe be a higher seed, but do you really want to take the risk of injury or anything else happening with really not getting a major reward in the back end? I would rather much have the weekend off or just get right into the playoffs than playing another game when everyone kind of gets to sit back and stay home. So if you did go to that model, kind of what I brought up a couple weeks ago, my fear would be, which I'm fine with, a moving on and eliminating essentially the conference championship week. The 12th game ends, bam, we jump right into the playoffs.
See, I hate that. I'm fine. And maybe it's because I'm not a big like Premier League, like okay, because like in the Premier League, right? You win the regular season title if you just have the best regular season, you finish with the most points, right? I don't know if it's the American in me, but I love a championship deciding game. And so I love the idea that, okay, you both had these great seasons.
What other sport does it? I mean, I guess just college. I mean, no professional sport does it.
Well, yeah, but no professional sport has the culture or the unique dynamics of like of a conference, like an SEC or the Big Ten, everything that comes with it. I feel like you further homogenize and further take away from some of the unique nature of college football if you get rid of those games. However, if there's not even a buy,
moving to be more professional. Like this is, I know everyone's trying to hold on the purest of what college sports are. There's some people trying to hold on to what it was and why it was so much better than the NFL or whatever other professional sport. Like, I get it, but with the way it's moving right now, and I'm not the biggest. I'm not completely against the movement towards being more NFL type, because guess what? The NFL kicks ass. It's the most popular sport in America, generates a ton of money. The product is incredible. I don't know why we are so scared to getting closer to that type of model.
You said the NFL at times can feel a bit antiseptic, right? It's so perfect that it feels like you're just on like a beautiful, like Kubrick-esque, like just really nice, clean white space station, but there's not a lot of character there, right? Like college
Mm.
football's like the Millennium Falcon. It's got some wear and tear on it. It's got some grease stains. Chewbacca's up there fucking tinkering and banging away and got like a welding gun out. Like the NFL's all like robots just perfectly solving all your microchip problems. And I think something like the 12-team playoff with the buys, retaining conference championships, it's actually a pretty nice compromise where you are professionalizing it in some ways, but you're also retaining. And like I think for college, more so than divisions in the NFL, like division titles matter somewhat in the NFL. Conference titles still mean a lot and should continue to mean a lot. And a conference championship game, I think, helps to reinforce that. So
Do you worry? I was listening to
keep it
Pate
at
the
12.
other day, and I'm just not. I don't agree with him on this topic. I think he's very anti any sort of expansion. I think I get the vibes from him that if he could, he would go back to almost like the BCS era where it's just two teams. He feels like the season is being diminished because of the expanded playoffs. And I understand I understand why he feels like that. I don't agree with it. I understand it. And he brought up the college football, or college basketball, excuse me, that we really only care about March Madness. We only really care about the tournament. And while I do agree with that from a basketball standpoint, I feel like football and the culture of football and football owning a day of the week, essentially, of fall Saturdays is a far different feel than a college basketball season where you could lose interest throughout the year, where I don't think, to me personally, like I don't think that there would be a loss of excitement around the average Saturday, even with an expanded playoff.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right because I think you hit the nail on the head. The key difference there is the number of games, right?
Yeah.
You're still playing way more games in college basketball, which just a natural byproduct of that is each regular season game feeling like it means less. When you're still only playing once a week, that's obviously going to have more kind of inherent value than
It's the same
does
thing the
college
NBA is
basketball.
facing right now. I mean, there's been a massive drop with NBA interest for multiple reasons. There ain't no loss of interest for the NFL. Added a game. NFL added playoffs. Guess what? It has only gained more popularity and more money, and that's good for the
Um,
sport.
but yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a fan of 16. I'm not a fan of 14. I think 12 feels like a real sweet spot. Speaking of a 12-team playoff, so we're gonna get it the first time this fall, Aaron.
Mm,
Big question. Our third big question. I forgot to set this up like 3 big questions. That's on me.
you did.
Bad production by me. Our third big question of the day: who wins the first 12-team playoff? Oh man, can't wait for this answer. Surely it's not.
Who won the first 14 playoff? Was it
Yeah,
Bama
was the first one when they beat
or was it
Georgia
Ohio
on
State? No, it was Ohio State.
Oh yeah, it was back in 2015,
Yep.
right? Yeah. But the point is, it's still those two teams. To show you that the more things change, the more things remain the same. So my
Mhm.
hot take for today's snap is that Georgia will win the first 12-team playoff. Whoa, dude.
Yeah, it's
How
Georgia,
about
Ohio
it, dude?
State. Georgia, Ohio State. If Ohio State proves that they can create good quarterback play, uh, I would say maybe a slight favorite over Georgia. I mean, they returned the majority of that defense, which was pretty damn nasty. I think they're in an easier conference than the SEC, especially when you look at Georgia's schedule. Um, it's one of those two. I think there is a pretty big gap between what Georgia and Ohio State have talent wise than everyone else in the country heading into next season.
It's Scott says, T-Bob, I don't like that take at all. But I mean, who else are you gonna choose, dude? Like, we're all sitting here saying that Oregon's number 3 in the country.
Yeah,
Think Oregon's gonna get across that finish line? Like, I just don't know that. I just don't know that I see
Texas
it.
maybe. You got Ewers. Is Ewers
Texas,
take another
Texas,
step
Texas,
forward?
Texas would be in there.